At this point, I'm going to do visitor statements. I'm going to read the statement here. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages the participation of its citizens in the business of the school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions or make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such a request should be submitted in writing 48 hours before the meeting to the superintendent. We did have such a request from Dr. Keene.
Dr. John Keene here.
Like this.
Can we check and see if Dr. Keene's next door in the
Overflow?
room?
I just saw him. He's definitely here.
You want first?
Yeah, I'll let him go first.
Good evening, Dr. Keene.
Dr. Skinkus, the board.
Are you going to be the
I've got 2
timekeeper?
topics. That's why I requested some extra time. I'll start with my first topic. And it regards the class rank proposal that I read about in the paper. So before change, I'm John Keene. I live in Brookfield. Served on the board 8 years. So before changing a board policy or tradition, it is worth considering why the policy was instituted in the first place. I would like to offer you my perspective as a former board member, parent of 6 RB students, and as a former student with multiple siblings that went to RB. Class rank has been a fixture here at RB for at least half a century. One useful purpose it serves is as a measuring stick for both students and parents. The class rank, along with standardized testing, provides valuable additional perspective to parents on how their child is performing as they journey through RB. During my lifetime, RB has been known as a school that encourages, through its culture, academic growth and achievement. Over the last decade, I have attended multiple senior academic award nights, and this recognition is appropriate and acts as a powerful motivator. Class rank provides an opportunity to give special recognition to our very top students at graduation through the top 10, as well as the top 10%. These students have worked extremely hard, given our rigorous curriculum, and many go on to future academic and professional success that basically started here at the school, as it did with me. This effort to achieve this award is only through their own choice, and I believe the RB community should continue to offer and celebrate this achievement. In my 8 years, I attended multiple graduation ceremonies. I noticed the majority of our top 10 students are female. Does this matter? In my opinion, not if these students are viewed as individuals using an objective measure on a level playing field. I do not believe our faculty somehow discriminates against male students. Multiple variables influence academic success, but the most important and the one we can encourage is effort. Another objection to class rank is that students will game the system. However, the only way to increase class rank is through taking more challenging classes. Why would we want to discourage our very top students from challenging themselves by taking more AP classes? RB is supposed to prepare our students to succeed in life and contribute to our society. Competition is a part of life through college admission, to graduate and professional school, as well as employment. Rankings are inherent in any job interview or promotion. As one walks the halls of RB, the athletic wall of fame stands out. The chances of any varsity athlete earning this recognition is low. However, an incoming freshman athlete will at least be motivated to try. And trying is the first step in success in utilizing and developing the talents God has given us. The academic wall of fame is the RB tradition of top 10 and the top 10% printed in each graduation booklet. We want our students to aim high and give a solid effort. These habits will ensure success at RB and once they leave RB. When we recognize academic success, we get more of it. Perhaps there are additional ways the board can encourage academic success, for instance, by measuring and recognizing academic growth and achievement or improvement, for example, PSAT performance versus performance on entrance exams. In summary, I believe that eliminating the top 10 and top 10% may send the wrong message to RB students, parents, and the community. I ask that the board find a way to preserve these traditions. And hopefully I can move on to the next one, Kevin.
You have about 5 minutes and 49 seconds.
Already?
You have left 5 minutes.
Okay. So I just want to address the COVID-19 solution that we've proposed here at RB. I'd like the community, if you go to the RB website, there's a link to the CDC, and there's a statement on the importance of reopening schools this fall. Now, we don't know why, but children are at lower risk of contracting COVID-19 than adults, possibly due to differences in cell receptors. Children under 18 account for only under 7% of all cases and less than 0.1% of all COVID deaths. COVID-19 mortality in children is less than in the influenza virus. 3 separate international studies have shown that children are not the primary source of COVID-19 transmission in schools or the community. On the other hand, patients aged 65 and over have accounted for over 80% of COVID-related deaths. We should do our best to protect our older population and those with chronic health conditions. The board should certainly accommodate higher risk teachers and employees. A recent article in the New England Journal of Medicine advocated for the full reopening of primary schools, given the importance of school instruction and the relatively low risk in children. There are definitely harms to keeping children out of school, and it may take years for us to fully understand those harms. Another fact to keep in mind is that there are 5 million U.S. confirmed cases of COVID-19, but antibody testing is published in JAMA July 21st that the number is closer to 50 million, maybe 100 million Americans have already contacted the virus, since many cases have little or no symptoms. The good news is that the true case fatality rate is only 10% of the confirmed case rate, more in line with the flu virus. Unfortunately, this virus is here to stay. If we do not develop an effective vaccine, will we depend on enough people being exposed until the virus burns itself out? This could be another 100 million people in the United States. I hope this is not the case, but in the meantime, we need to learn to adjust and compare the harms of any course of action. There is no easy answer. I know that the board is constrained by state mandates, but as a physician, I agree with the CDC recommendation that opening schools to at least some in-person learning, such as the hybrid model that the board has proposed, is in the best interest of RB students, especially with the risk reduction measures that are being put in place as recommended by the CDC. I thank you, Dr. Skinkis. I thank the board for letting me present on these 2 topics, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to start by section, and then we'll get through the first 3 sections, and then we'll ask for
Then we'll do the overflow.
All right,
You want to start on my left?
whatever section you want.
Yeah. So let's start. If anyone behind?
Anyone over in that
sector wants
far
to
section
speak?
would like to do public comment, you may come up to the microphone.
Didn't people sign in? I thought we had some people sign in too.
Do we have a sign-in sheet?
At the table. Yeah.
Okay, comments are limited to 3 minutes, so what I'll do is that when you have about 30 seconds left, I'll just put my hand up so you're aware, okay?
Yes, give me 1 second to get
Sure,
started.
take your time, take your
Facial
time.
recognition doesn't work anymore.
No.
Right.
Take your time.
Thank you. Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jennifer Nelson, and I am the parent of 2 RB students this year. As doctors and educators have said, the goal should be for all students to return to safely learning in person. But setting that goal for what safely is what's critically important. It's not currently safe for students, families, or staff, and RB should start the year fully remote. Decisions on when and how to physically reopen school buildings for in-person instruction need to be data-driven, taking into consideration the incidence of COVID-19 in the surrounding area. Widespread failure to respond to COVID-19 on a national level has left schools in a position no better than when they originally closed in the spring. We may be worse than we were in the spring. As of this afternoon, over 5 million people across the U.S. have tested positive for the virus, and more than 160,000 of those have died. Over 380,000 total child COVID-19 cases have been reported in the U.S. Almost a quarter of those children tested positive for the virus during the last 2 weeks of July alone, a total of at least 97,000 children. According to a new analysis by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association, there has been a 90% increase in the number of COVID-19 cases among children in the United States over the last 4 weeks. What does this mean in terms of the data? RB should start the year fully remote. The virus can be spread through air droplets called aerosols. These aerosols remain in the air and can accumulate over time, increasing the risk of transmission in closed indoor spaces. While the hybrid model reduces those contacts each day, full remote learning eliminates those contacts. RB should start the year fully remote. Researchers at Duke University created a test to determine which masks are the least effective. This study concluded that some masks, such as gaiters, are worse than wearing no mask at all, as the aerosols are smaller and disperse farther. RB has not communicated which masks are suitable, nor how to properly wear them, and I have observed both students in RB camps, as well as much of our community, not wearing masks, wearing gaiters, or wearing masks on their chins. With the lack of knowledge and lack of willingness to wear masks appropriately, RB should start the year fully remote. Regardless of whether school opens in person, online, or some combination, communication between the district and families will be essential. We need information about educational plans, about COVID-related illnesses in the community, and about how to support our children's learning. We need that information quickly, and we need it in clear and accessible formats. This current plan is not safe for students, families, or staff, and RB should start the year fully remote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julie, or Jennifer.
Anyone else from that section?
Tell me when you're ready, Brian.
I am ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, members of the school board and District 208 and the administration. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Toomey. I'm a 45-year resident of this community. I'm a proud RB graduate, class of 1986. And my children, one of whom just graduated, are third-generation Bulldogs. I am currently in my third year as president of the Boosters, and prior served as vice president and general board member. In the spirit of full disclosure, there are many people in this building that I consider friends and acquaintances who represent both sides of the situation. I am in no way an expert on COVID or any other virus. I have no medical background, and I, like most, just here to offer my opinion and some thoughts that might be getting lost in, while the RBA jumps in at the 11th hour to thwart any plan the board, administration, and COVID committee has developed. Let me start by saying thank you to those that I just mentioned. I cannot imagine the hours that you all put in designing a plan to bring the kids back to school. I am sure the stress and sleepless nights have taken its toll on you all in one way or another. Your dedication and professionalism have not gone unnoticed. So on behalf of my family and those that believe in your plan, thank you. So while the RBA is promoting itself on the concern of our kids' safety and well-being, I would like to ask how they consider our children's mental health and effects being out of school has on them. Have they considered what the abrupt end of last year did to our children of all classes, especially the seniors? Do they care? Do they understand the amount of money our children stand to lose in scholarship opportunities because they may not be equipped enough for the desire to remote teach? My daughter took an AP bio exam and scored a 5. Her college allowed her to take genetics, a 200-level bio class. She is now questioning herself if she's prepared for that class based on the end of how her year ended last year, knowing that she missed some labs as well as the course material was not fully covered, and that is no fault of the teacher. Is this how we want the class of 2021 to take off? Questioning if they have the material to move on, finding out if they are ill-prepared for college-level courses because they're being taught on a screen. If Marty Sloan and the opposing members of our BEA can stand here and tell me they have not gone to the grocery store, Home Depot, ordered meals out, vacationed, or had kids participate in sports camps this summer, and have stayed sheltered at home since March, I can understand their position. They have done everything by the book to avoid COVID. However, conversely, if you have done any of these things, then coming to school and doing the job the committee pays you to do should not be a stretch, as you were not concerned with any of those people you came in contact with at any store, restaurant, or vacation. The board administration and COVID committee worked tirelessly to reach out to the stakeholders, the families, the staff, and the students to survey our preferences. From what was returned, from what I could tell, some sort of hybrid model was a majority. They moved forward and created a plan, maybe not perfect and not without challenges, but a plan nonetheless that we worked with. Did it address every problem, scenario, and individual situation? No, how could it? Is there a blueprint for returning to school during a global pandemic? If there is, it has not been shared with the world, let alone District 208. There is talk aside from RBA, this is really time for sides. You talk care, concern for safety, yet you want us to pick a side, your side, so you can teach remote. Do they care that some kids who depend on school for breakfast and lunch may go without eating? Now is not the time to pick sides. Now is the time to come together for the good of the students you openly profess care so much about to try to get them back to school. The damage being done mentally, physically, and educationally cannot be done easily. Kids are off the charts in categories parents don't even want to talk about, like drugs, suicide, depression, alcohol, and consumption, just to name a few.
Please close.
I know I'm out of time, so I just want to thank you for listening to my thoughts. Again, they are just my opinions. They are not based on anything other than my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Good evening.
Ready?
Yeah.
Just a little louder if you can.
Okay.
Ready? Go ahead.
My name is Nick Novak. I am a senior here at RB. To tell you a little about myself, I am the National Honor Society president. I am a two-sport athlete, and I am on the top 5% of the RB class rank. I would like to talk about two things, class rank and the hybrid model. I feel it is very important as a student body to be present at school. It is essential in learning. From my experience last year, honestly, it was hard to learn at home. There's a lack of motivation. It's really difficult to be on a screen for 8 hours a day to try to stay focused and try to get what needs to be done. To be at school does not only mean to learn, it also means to see your friends' faces, to see your teachers' faces. It has been hard not to see some of my closest friends since I haven't been at school. School is somewhere where I can express myself and express my feelings for others as strongly as I can, and to see other people is really where it should be. And it's socially distanced, of course, but just to be at school with half your class, that is extremely important to every kid at RB. For the class rank, students who are at the top, they do deserve it. I have worked extremely hard, and I put myself in this position because college, like I was always told as a kid, colleges take the best of the best. And since a freshman, I was told, take the hardest classes, do as best as you can, and I've done that, and I've done that successfully. And for that to be taken away my senior year, that's just not fair. Maybe if that would start for the incoming freshmen, since they don't have anything in place, I feel like that would be the best case. It's just not fair to take that away from seniors who are graduating, since they've worked so hard for it. I just wanted to bring a student's perspective to the board tonight. It's important, and honestly, just to be able to go to school is really what we need. I've been looking forward to the school year, and I was upset to hear that to go fully e-learning. Kids aren't going to be motivated to go to log in every day. They're not going to learn as much. You can take most of the kids. They're going to tell you, oh, it's a joke. And I know teachers do work really hard to try to do everything they can to give the students the best opportunity to learn at home, but it's not the same as school. And I feel like we should do everything we can to get kids in school.
Thank you, Nick. I need you to wrap up, okay? You got a closing statement?
No.
No. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Nick. Any more on that side?
Middle section?
Middle section? Tell me
Hello.
when you're ready. You go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Hello, my name's Maria Kaplan. I have a son that's a sophomore this year, and I signed him up for the blended plan. One, because I did not want Apex teachers teaching my son. I wanted RB teachers teaching my son. And two, because I believe that as long as it's safe, that the kids will benefit from time in school with the teachers, with their friends, and it's more motivation. While the spring was very hard, I don't believe my son benefited from any of the classes. He's in French, but he doesn't know a lot of French right now. So I believe as long as it's safe, that I would like the children to be in school as much as possible. I understand no plan is perfect, and it's hard to come up with something, but I've seen the blended plan, and I'm concerned more with the instruction time, the amount of instruction time that's in that plan. I'm under no illusions. I know that sooner or later we will be at 100% remote sometime, whether it be the first week, 5 weeks in, flu season, whenever. My concern is, where is the plan for 100% remote learning? Where's the instruction time? Why haven't we seen this yet? We all know that sooner or later, we've seen other schools, it's coming. So how come we haven't seen this instruction time for this remote plan? Is there one? I hope that this plan has more instruction time than the approximately 17 hours that's listed in the blended plan currently. Because I don't believe, I'm comparing it to other schools around. Use Morton, for example. They're doing 100% remote, but the teachers will be in school for the full school day, and the kids will be online getting instruction the full school day. So how is our child supposed to compare when we're only getting less than 17 hours instruction time, and a lot of the time the kid's going to be at home on their own again? That's my big concern. While I understand that we might not be able to be in school forever, anytime making the relationships with the teachers is very important. So if we can do it safely, I would like to do it safely, but I'm more concerned again with what happens when we're 100% remote. How come we can't have as much instruction time as other districts around us? And I would really like to see that soon, since we're starting school soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria, there will be that will be covered tonight.
Anyone else in the middle section?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tricia McVicker. And can I start?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm Tricia McVicker, and I am the parent of a sophomore here at Riverside Brookfield High School. I had the privilege of serving on the COVID transition committee. Believe it or not, I volunteered. I saw an email, I know, right? I saw an email, and I responded to Dr. Skikas and Dr. Freitas, and I told them that I wanted to help if they thought that I could add value. A lot of people didn't know me until last night when I invited parents to come and support the hybrid model with me. I was asked what my qualifications were, and so somebody asked me to bring my resume. Unfortunately, I lost power, so I couldn't bring it. So I wanted to tell everybody here that I'm a nurse. I have a BSN since 1994. I passed my boards on the first attempt. I was an ER nurse for 10 years all over the country. I was a trial attorney for 10 years, and I had a daughter. And trial attorneys work a whole lot of hours, and so I decided that my daughter was more important, and so I came back into the nursing field. I am currently the director of nursing at a home health agency. We were one of the first in the city to start seeing COVID positive patients in their homes when they were discharged from the hospital. I put a plan in place for my clinicians to safely see COVID positive patients in their homes. I have worked every day since these kids went remote in March to make sure that my clinicians were safe. I myself have been to 2 COVID positive patients' homes to start IVs because my nurses were having a bad day. I didn't get it, and none of them have gotten it. And so that was what I felt I added to this committee. I believe I have helped the committee to come up with a very safe return to school in-person plan that provides a safe environment for everybody here. The committee, which I feel strongly about, like I said, I volunteered my time. We have been accused of being the Lone Ranger or going rogue, wanting to be the only or the first school to do this hybrid model. And I can tell you that this is the furthest thing from the truth. We've been accused of allowing administration to make our decisions for us. I can tell you that Dr. Skinkas has asked for my opinion numerous times, and so this is not a top-down decision. This was a committee decision. This committee followed the guidance of the governor, of IDPH, and of the CDC. Just a little story. On July 29th, the governor was doing a groundbreaking ceremony at Fulton Labs across from my office. And I thanked him for getting kids back in school. And he told me that he was never going to close all the schools or mandate it because not every school was the same. We're not OPRF. We are not LT, and we are not Morton West that have 4,000 students that they don't want to bring back. We have developed a successful plan to bring these kids back into school. I understand that every teacher has their own situation, and I respect their opinion or their situations, but our kids need to be back in school. Our kids have been practicing this since March. They wear face masks. We have had healthy, successful sports camps. And this isn't the Lake Zurich kids, right? Everybody brings that up. Those kids went to a party. I've got the email from IDPH because I get all of those siren alerts. They went to a party where somebody was positive, and then they brought it into camp. I believe in this plan.
You have to wrap up.
I believe in this plan. I believe in this committee, and I believe in the hybrid approach to bringing kids back into school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Anyone else in the middle section? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the far section here.
Third section. Go ahead when you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Rios. I am the mother to 2 RB students. Like every other parent, my husband and I love our children more than anything else in the world. We believe the only acceptable and safe way to begin the school year is fully remote. The hybrid option isn't safe, and Apex is not a quality alternative. We did learn that we can sign up for hybrid and keep our kids at home. My concern is that this then puts an even heavier load on teachers to help those students learn what they missed during class time. Watching the rising case numbers in our area tells us it is not safe for staff or students to return. We will need to quarantine individuals or close and reopen the school repeatedly. Are we prepared for when a staff member or student dies or has long-term organ damage for the rest of their life? We all wish for some sense of normalcy, but what we want and wish for is not the same as what is necessary for the benefit of all involved. I began speaking by talking about how much I love my children, but I'm here tonight because my concern goes beyond just my own children. I don't buy into the worldview that because I pay taxes, which support our schools, that I'm owed something. I do know that I owe a debt to every staff member at RB, from the teachers to the janitorial staff, the principals to the teaching assistants, that I can never repay. I also know that I have a responsibility to the community at large. I do not want a section of this year's yearbook to be dedicated to all those we lost this year. I urge you board members and Dr. Skinkis to reconsider your decision to open up RB in a hybrid form. Starting the school year as remote only is the safest choice to make. The current plan is not safe for students, their families, and staff. Last, I want to speak to Dr. Skinkis' dismissive tone and words when he addressed the RBEA's concern in the landmark. He said those concerns were just union propaganda and that it wasn't his job to respond to the RBEA. Actually, Dr. Skinkis, it is your literal job to respond and work with your teachers and your union, their union. You disrespected and dismissed the very people who take care of our children. That's unacceptable and unprofessional. Respectfully, I hope that you will rethink your relationship with our teachers and work to repair it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, my name is Thomas Fuller. I've been a teacher at this high school for 26 years, and I'm speaking here on my behalf and on behalf of the Riverside Brookfield Education Association Welfare Committee. In the face of overwhelming scientific evidence that the COVID-19 pandemic is worsening, you, the RBHS District 2A Board of Education, and Dr. Kevin Skinkis are apparently deciding that students and staff will return to in-person learning at RB on August 17th. We, the RBEA Welfare Committee, wholeheartedly agree that teaching students face-to-face is the most effective form of education and what's in the best academic interests of all of our students. However, in light of the current facts regarding the global 19 pandemic, the RBEA Welfare Committee strongly disagrees with this potential decision to return to in-person instruction at this time. This decision would needlessly jeopardize the health and safety of the students, staff, faculty, and all of the RBHS extended family. When e-learning was thrust on all schools in Illinois due to the pandemic outbreak in March of this year, teachers at RB and all across the state were forced to immediately develop new methods to educate students. Without any time for proper training, the faculty at RB developed remote curricula that enabled all RBHS students to continue to thrive and learn at the high level that the students and the community have come to expect and deserve. Did all students take advantage of this learning opportunity? Unfortunately, no. But that was because of the state's mandate that no harm could be done to students' grades. The state's decision had nothing to do with the quality of remote education that RBHS teachers provided. That hamstring by the state is no longer in place. The quality of remote instruction still is. We have provided it in the past. We can and will provide it in the future. The captain of the Titanic, if you believe James Cameron's movie account, had the iceberg report in his hand while he decided to go full steam ahead with the ship. We all know how that turned out. If Major League Baseball, with all of its resources and testing and billions of dollars, cannot contain COVID and keep its players safe, then how can RB possibly expect to do so with handheld thermometers and hope? Common sense should rule the day. Almost all schools in the surrounding area have instituted remote learning. LT, OPRF, Naperville, Glenbard 87, CPS, the list is endless. These schools have made the informed and prudent decision to put the safety of students and staff first and trust their educators to provide quality remote instruction for their students. RB teachers have proven that they can do that. Why not let them? Why put people in harm's way unnecessarily? Please do the right thing, Board of Education and Dr. Skinkis, and implement remote learning for the safety of the entire RB community. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. ahead, Armando.
Good evening. My name is Armando Venegas, special educator at RB. A month ago, I sat here and read a statement on race and equity on behalf of the RBEA. Today, we continue this dialogue as it pertains to the health and well-being of RB students of color and their families during the pandemic. While Dr. Skinkis continues to reassure our staff that COVID-19 positivity rates in the community surrounding RB are at safe levels, he fails to consider that racial minorities living in the RB community are more severely impacted by this pandemic than the numbers he shares with us show. Consider that the all-time positivity rate of white residents living in our school district is 4%, while the positivity rates of Black and Latino residents combined is 15%. In Cook County, the positivity rate for Blacks and Latinos is 17%, more than double that of white Cook County residents. When paired with race demographic data in our school district, these numbers indicate an overwhelming disproportion of positive tests in Black and Latino residents. While Black and Latinos make up about a third of our school district's population, they account for about half of the positive COVID-19 tests. While experts hypothesize reasons why our students of color are at higher risk of contracting the virus, we do know for sure that they will be at higher risk when they walk into our building. Just last week, the CDC released a report confirming this. According to their findings, Hispanic and Black children in particular were much more likely to require hospitalization for COVID-19, with Hispanic children about 8 times as likely as white children to be hospitalized, while Black children were 5 times as likely. Further alarming is the increased risk that Black and Latino students, who are more likely to live in multi-generational households, might spread this virus to older at-risk relatives. With respect to all of the hard work and time our administration and COVID-19 committee has spent to come up with a plan to get students into the building, we have more questions that need addressing. Can you definitively say that all of our students will be safe from infection within our campus? What will you do when one of our students tests positive? Will we provide the healthcare resources that many of our racially and economically disenfranchised families lack to treat the virus? If we begin this school year under an in-person learning model of any kind, students of color will be met with yet another inequity: the disproportionate high risk of contracting COVID-19. The only solution is to implement full remote learning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Armando. Tell me when you're ready, Dan.
All right. Good evening. I thank you for giving us the time to speak to you today before you make this important decision. My name is Dan Bonarigo. I'm the president of the RBEA, and I'm reading a statement on behalf of the RBEA and the RBEA Exec Board. The RBEA Exec Board is advocating for a proper, fully remote start to the school year for the following reasons. Number one, it is the safest option for the students, their families, staff, and our community. It allows for consistent, quality instruction for the students of RB and is provided solely by the professional staff members of RB. It allows for the least amount of disruption in the lives of our students, their families, our staff, and our community. It is fair for the students and the families who were not given a proper remote learning choice to begin with. A remote start would allow the district to develop a plan that meets the needs of all students and provides access to RB teachers and staff. It is the most effective use of taxpayer dollars because the district does not need to pay to needlessly outsource our students' education. The current plan is to spend an additional $150 per student to access APEX. Additionally, APEX remote learning limits student access to many AP and elective courses. A properly implemented remote learning plan will save the district thousands of dollars in sub-costs. Based upon information from the Chicago Tribune, nearly 95% of the public high schools in Cook County have moved to a fully remote start for the upcoming school year. This number seemingly increases by the day. Dr. Skinkis has mentioned numerous times that we will be remote at some point this fall. Since we know we will be remote eventually, why continue to spend taxpayer money preparing for this in-person model? The district should be spending its precious time and resources developing a robust virtual learning plan. This is where the district will see a return on its investment. The RB community cannot afford to fall further behind schools like OPRF, which has been planning a fully remote start for over a month now. The RBA surveyed the staff with 98 responses. Almost 80% of our staff do not support implementing our current hybrid plan under current conditions. Almost 90% of the staff are not confident that in-person instruction will be safe. This decision cannot afford to be rushed. A school start date is merely self-imposed. After all, this is arguably the most important decision in the history of RB. Yet, the choice is actually quite simple. A fully remote start is best if for no other reason than this. It is the only safe choice for the students, their families, the staff, and our community.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan.
This side, any more?
My name is Pam Goodman. My son is a senior here at RB. In the video that was sent out last Friday evening, the superintendent claimed that there were no guides. He used the term playbooks for school districts during a pandemic. There are many guides for school districts available. In fact, there is even a guide to the guides. There are several librarians in the area who can assist you if you would like help finding these resources. You indicated that you did not consider a fully remote option for families until it was required by Springfield in July. Early in the spring, every epidemiologist in the nation predicted that Illinois would have a second wave in the fall, a second wave that would be more deadly than the first. There was complete consensus on this matter. Knowing this, as we all did, it is extremely disappointing that you did nothing to prepare for a fully remote option for the fall. At best, which no one predicted, the virus would maintain a residual presence in our community, and families and teachers who are at highest risk would need a fully remote option. At worst, the entire school would need to be fully remote. At either extreme and at any place in the middle, planning for a remote option would have indicated prudence, professionalism, and competence. I question the process of choosing Apex to provide an online option for our students. Were the requirements for a school formally described? Which other schools were considered? Was Apex chosen based on the convenience of having already worked for the district or based on its quality of instruction? I am questioning the procedures which were used to prepare for the fall. You did not survey the faculty and the staff. These are, without question, the individuals with the most experience with, knowledge about, and compassion for our students and their families. As parents, we entrust them with the lives of our children on a daily basis. You did not seek meaningful input from parents. Neither the faculty nor the staff nor the parents were asked for suggestions, were asked about concerns, or were asked what we felt was best. You did not include resident and business owner taxpayers, whose money you will be sending to Apex and who will suffer the consequences of the likely outbreak that RB will contribute to. In closing, I would like to ask about your plan for the semester. Will you close the school after one teacher is in the ICU? 2 teachers? Will you wait for one to die? What about the families of the faculty? What about the parents of our students? What if it is a student? Does a student need to die, or will it be sufficient to close the school if he or she is in the ICU? Exactly how many people need to be sick, and exactly how sick do they need to be for you to consider a better plan? Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Dr. Stinkus, would I be allowed to read a letter from a parent?
Sure.
Okay, my name is Anne Marie Dixon. I have 2 incoming seniors at RB, and this letter is from Dr. Anthony Perry, who has a senior who graduated this year and an incoming junior student. Dear RBHS Board, I'm writing this letter to thank you for the work that you have been putting into developing an education plan for the students of RBHS for this coming fall. As a parent, I value the educational experience you provide to my children, and as a physician, I know that well-informed plans can greatly minimize risk of infection spread. I know we don't have a playbook on how to handle educational programming during a pandemic, but I believe you have done a laudable job in developing a plan for RBHS. I think a couple of key points are very important. 1, you have provided options. You allow parents and students to choose a modified in-person curriculum or a fully virtual educational program. I believe this is important given the fact that risk of morbidity associated with COVID varies from family to family. Some households have older and/or frail family members living in the home with them, while others do not. Some students may have chronic medical conditions themselves, whereas most do not. For these reasons, I feel the options, as you have presented to parents and students, that allows the choice of a fully virtual program to be highly appropriate. You are valuing in-person education. As a parent who believes greatly in the importance of education, and specifically the myriad benefits of in-person learning, I believe that while some students might do well with an online educational program, many others simply will not. This could be for reasons ranging from learning abilities to practical issues such as access to technology, internet, or quiet study spaces. Thus, in my mind, your option for in-person education is a best practice to allow students to maximally achieve and avoid children losing further educational ground. Number 3, the plan works to minimize risk. From the healthcare environment, we have learned that basic protective measures can significantly reduce risk of transmission. These include core elements of social distancing, wearing masks, and hand hygiene. I believe your plan for that reduces crowding, requires mask wearing, promotes hand washing, performs temperature screening, and even modifies building HVAC is a strong plan that works to minimize risk while acknowledging it cannot eliminate it. I believe that combination of providing options, valuing in-person education while working actively to minimize risk is a best practice approach in managing through the current pandemic. I also believe that it is my responsibility to provide appropriate education to my child in order to support the in-person care precautions, which I will do. I thank you for a plan that provides options to your families and thus allows choices as you have shared with the RBHS community. For me and my family personally, we believe in the value of in-person education and believe the harm of losing access to that outweighs the risk of infection associated with a well-implemented plan that minimizes that risk. Sincerely, Anthony J. Perry, MD. Thank you.
Anne-Marie. Thank you for being on the committee as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this side? All right, who's going to get people from over there?
Kylie, can you talk with Mr. Mann and see if there's any from the overflow room, please?
Come on in. Let's keep it moving. Thank you. Yes, have a seat.
Yeah, my name is Guy Adami. My son is a senior at RB. I had a lot written here to say, but I'm going to keep it really short. My opinion as a medical researcher and virologist is that we need to take the best knowledge we have of the way coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 is transmitted, the incubation period of the disease, the morbidity rate in different age groups, and a realistic time plan for vaccine availability, and transform that into a community plan that makes sense. I disagree with some of the statements that I heard tonight on coronavirus transmission in teenagers. I've taught some online this summer. It is possible to do, and it works fine. It's not that different than teaching in person. Then I'd like to conclude by saying, the right mask properly worn stops coronavirus transmission. There's a lot of agreement on that. From what I've seen tonight among some speakers and from watching my own son wear a mask, I do not feel our students are capable of wearing a respirator properly for a 6-hour period. For that reason, I think that an RB teacher-administered online education for now is the best option, is the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy.
Hello, my name is Veronica Hunt. I will be a sophomore next year at RB, and I would like to say how important it is to me to be in the hybrid model next year for learning. As the school year is approaching, it has become a very big concern to me that I wouldn't be learning in person. At the end of the year, I did not feel that I learned at all, barely. I didn't feel that I learned very much through remote learning. I even had a teacher say to me that your future teachers will understand the gap in the knowledge because of this. And that's a kind of scary thought to me. And I also think that being in RB, being in the school environment, it is a great school environment. And having it taken away was very difficult. And I would just like to say that I really need the hybrid option. I think that I've been back in school a couple times during the pandemic for cheer tryouts, and everything went fine, and it was really great. And I came back for registration, and it was the amount of joy from the small things that I got, like even buying a mask for school. I wouldn't think that I would be so happy to buy a mask before, but it made me feel joy again, which I had sort of lost through this pandemic. And I think that it is very important that I go back to school and am able to resume activities maybe they're not the way that they were before, but I think it's very important that they are available and that going to school and learning in person is available and is an option. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ready?
Good evening. My name is Charles Suska. I'm an alumni of the RB class of 2019. I now go to the Illinois Institute of Technology. I have heard many people calling for the RB to start the fall 2020 semester fully remote in order to protect the health of the student body. I have had a different experience. During this pandemic, I've had not a single classmate die of COVID-19. I have had, however, 2 classmates, friends the age of 19 and 20, commit suicide due to the immense loneliness and isolation the lockdowns have caused. As the president of my fraternity, I've had several brothers reach out to me, wanting to talk to me, feeling lonely and sad as well. I think it is important that when considering this fully remote system of learning, not only to take into account the physical health, but also the mental health of the students. In my college experience as a college freshman, the quality of learning fell dramatically with the lockdowns. Teachers did not seem to care as much about their students, and they were not held accountable. Some classes, especially math, science, and engineering, were extremely difficult to learn online without any in-person instruction, or the community of great RB students who always help each other out. I'd like to leave you with the words of Dr. Fauci. We need to do everything in our power to reopen our schools. I'm in full lockstep agreement that we need to reopen our schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Manning, is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Okay. You wanna
Go and go through the plan.
Okay.